Elizabeth Warren's campaign is telling key online supporters that their goal is de-escalation and warning backers not to accuse Bernie Sanders of sexism, signaling a desire to move on from a story that has driven a rift between two longtime allies and with the progressive community over questions of gender and electability. Monday night, about 5 minutes after Warren issued a statement confirming that she remembers Sanders telling her in a private meeting he didn't believe a woman could win in 2020, one of Warren's campaign officials advised supporters in a large pro-Warren group chat on Twitter that their next step would be to dial back the confrontation. Where we go from here, our goal is de-escalation and focusing on our shared goals, staffer wrote to the group according to screenshots of the chat. Before I even look at our chat, before you say it, yes, I know it's awfully convenient to now say this after 3 days of bumping up your fundraising on the backs of Bernie Sanders is a misogynist. I do not disagree.
It's like starting a fire and then being like, let's just quietly walk away and not pay attention to what just happened. You know?
Oh, no. I'm not, listen, I can't discount it. I'm a logical being. Like, I get it. Like, you saw my Facebook post this morning. Like all of this is horribly convenient. Let's just say, let's say that I concede that either Liz Warren or Liz Warren's campaign actively worked, pointed out that online manual in the Slack channel to Politico so that they would write the article. And let's say either Liz Warren or Liz Warren's campaign went to CNN and said, here's a juicy tidbit we'll give you off the record and go to town with it. And let's just say that Liz Warren set the whole thing up just to get off the schneid because her fourth quarter fundraising was down 50%. She's down to polling 17% nationally. Let's say that all that shit actually happened, okay?
Yeah.
I'm not conceding that it did, but for the sake of this discussion, let's say that happened.
Right, we don't know what happened.
Okay, let's just say that actually happened, okay? Yes.
I think Refund Warren shook them too.
Yeah, okay. Let's say all this shit happened, though, okay? All this shit actually happened. You got two choices. You either turn around if you're a Sanders supporter and say, fuck Liz Warren, fuck Liz Warren's campaign, fuck Liz Warren's people, I don't care. These people are all trash. This is the shittiest thing I've ever seen. It's undemocratic. I 100% believe that Liz Warren did this. This is horrible. Screw her. Or, and you can totally, and I'm not going to tell somebody that's not a viable route. Again, I don't tell people what to say, what to think, what to feel, what to do. I don't do that. I am merely pointing out that if that is the route you take, and you are a Sanders supporter, and even after all of this, Sanders somehow wins the nomination.
Yeah. Is it turning people? Okay, sorry.
Yeah. No. That's exactly what I'm saying. Is how do you make up for those 17% of registered Democratic voters who had Liz Warren as their first choice, who are now angry that Bernie people shellacked her regardless of whether or not she deserved it? Because if you support somebody, rarely do you turn around and go, yeah, my person got whacked, but they deserved it. You never say that. You go, oh, bullshit, it's the system, it's the man, it's the blah, 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 whatever. So if you are a Sanders supporter and Sanders does get the nomination, explain to me how the fuck you beat Donald Trump in a general with 18% of your registered electorate already off the board. Tell me how you do that mathematically, and I will go scorched earth with you. I'll be the one with the lighter. I'll just stand behind you and light them shits while you throw it. Go ahead. If you tell me how you can compensate for that, I'm with you.
I think the onus is on Warren to be like, listen, my supporters who actually vote for I think the onus is on Warren.
I think that too, but guess what? The only thing that matters is what people think when they go into that box and they pull that lever. It is the only thing that matters. All the rest of it is bullshit to affect what you might possibly do when you go into that room to press that lever, when nobody else is looking, when nobody else is judging you, when you get to like fucking say what you think and do what you want to do. The only thing that matters in that moment is who do you want, who are you going to support? Are you going to be, this person didn't
Well,
support me, so fuck them? Or are you going to be like, Orange Man bad?
mm-hmm.
And if Bernie supporters go full scorched earth right now, like full scorched earth, and I know they can because I covered like 17 campaign events in 2016, and I was at the DNC during the walkout. I got tear gassed in Philly. Like, I know all about this shit. How do you compensate for those voters? If you go scorched earth on Warren now, how do you beat Trump with only a possible 83% of the Democratic electorate who will come out to vote for you, regardless of what turnout is? How do you compensate for that when you already lost the general in the last election, even though you had 3 million more popular votes? I can't wrap my head around that. That's the part that's killing me. And I hate the system. I hate the electoral system. I hate the electoral college. I hate the two-party duopoly. I'm fucking sick of the RNC and the DNC. I would love to burn things to the ground, like you are preaching to the choir here. But I have to be pragmatic. Like, my wishes and my angst and my anger is not what's going to fucking be the future of America. The future of America is going to be whoever the most people pull that little lever for. So, how do you get the most people into that box?
You don't think that, do you think that though her base is like the blue no matter who folks? Like you think that they would be so turned off to not vote for Bernie if he were to get the nomination?
I don't know, and that's my point. Nobody knows. And if you don't know, the last thing you can afford to do is take 1/5 of the total possible people of I don't know what they're going to do and just fucking completely excise them from the pool. Like, statistically and mathematically speaking, you just even though it's 17% electorate, when you go by percentages, you just made your job like 39% harder. Can you really afford 39% harder when Hillary won by 3 million votes and we still got Orange Man bad?
We don't need to go scorched earth, right? Because I agree that can also backfire and that's not going to gain us any supporters. But I do think we should point out some of the criticisms. Like, I think that's fine and stick to policy. You know what I mean?
Listen, I'm the one who says all along when people are like, vote blue no matter who. No. You go hard. It's primary season. You go hard. Like, you got to make sure someone can take a shot. You got to, shake the shit out of that candidate and see what falls out of them. I'm not against any of that. I'm against scorched earth. I'm against salting the earth behind you. I'm against moving past the point of no return of saying something that's so fucking horrible that you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't put the toothpaste back in the tube.
You can't. You want to, I don't think can't.
Yeah. So I like what Carpe says. Bernie will be vindicated and he will brush it off and look like the better person and candidate. I think this hurts Warren without scorched earth. And I think so.
I certainly hope so. I am not disagreeing with you. And I'm pissed about the whole thing. Like, trust me, I'm pissed. Like, I want to go that route. I really want to go that route, but
because she's totally working against the working class and the progressives, and she's picked. She is.
Correct me if I'm wrong here. Didn't Donald Trump and the RNC raise more than like 100 million last quarter, and Bernie raised like 30 something, and he was the top DNC money raiser? So again, this is why I talk about scorched earth, because I know how many Facebook ads you can buy with $100 million. Like,
yeah.
We are not playing.
Like, hey.
You can think Orange Man bad all you want. Brad Parscale, who runs the digital and does the Trump campaign, that man is a goddamn evil mastermind. Like, you need to have every possible piece on the board if you're going to play chess with that dude. Because the DNC tried to play chess with him last time and they got their ass handed to them. Like,
oh, yeah.
So I need to mitigate the potential disasters that the DNC will continue to commit this election cycle, because it's what the DNC does. They always shit the bed. Like, we as people, we have to position ourselves to compensate for how horrible they are. And I know that's a sad indictment of the party leadership, but it's the truth. Like, so we can't afford to go scorched earth because the DNC is more than likely going to shit the bed again somehow. And the only thing standing between Orange Man bad, us, and another 4 years of proto-fascism is somehow countering the idiocy of the DNC, and going scorched earth is not the way to do it. And trust me, I really want to. I really
No, but
want
so
to.
Everyday Progressive, which like I agree with, says the DNC would rather see Trump reelected than to nominate Bernie,
Exactly,
sadly.
but I wouldn't. That's my point.
Oh, of
The
course not.
DNC would love Warren and Sanders to go scorched earth on people because now it's Biden definitely gets the nomination, which is what the DNC wants. So the question becomes, do I help to facilitate what the DNC wants, which is obviously not good for anybody except for old rich white people, you know, or do I make sure that I still have a voice with as many supporters of as many candidates as possible when the primary season is still over? What's the smarter route? What gets Orange Man bad out of the White House?
Yeah, I think there's a way to approach this that is like smart and strategic and not scorched earth. And like, I love seeing the videos that people are sharing of Bernie Sanders in like the 1980s
Oh
talking to
yeah,
school children and like, yeah, girls can do everything that boys can do. And this kind of, I love that stuff. So like, I think there's a way to do it where it brings up Sanders's record of like consistently being a feminist and like encouraging women to enter politics and showing these like receipts without being the stereotypical like Bernie bro. And I think like yesterday on Twitter, the two things that were trending again were like, I trust Bernie Sanders and like showing these examples. And then the other thing that was trending was refund Warren. And so I think that probably scared her and her campaign. And that's why they were like, hey, we should, back off a little bit or whatever the article was that you pulled up.
I would be.
So yeah, I agree. I don't think we should go scorched earth. I think there are ways to like talk about it.
I would be remiss if I did not remind you that hashtags don't vote.
Yeah, but you know what's funny? You know who really watches Twitter?
Trump, yeah, I know,
Trump.
but big deal. Listen, we've been savaging him for 3 years and he hasn't blinked yet. So I am